Hey, what's up, guys? Jason from MMA on Point here. I'm sure you guys know me. Oh, okay. So switch to the other camera. I know exactly what's going on there. So, nope. Switch to the other camera. There you go. Yeah. So we're having a lot of
Jeez.
fun with
You know
YouTube
what?
today.
You know what? You think that Lawler versus McDonald was a fucking fight. This, getting on YouTube Live, was a fucking fight. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. And also the worst thing about this as well, I'm just going to go on a quick rant here as well. Like, I'm in I'm in a terraced housing. I'm like in the attic of this place. So all the heat is coming up. So excuse me if I just like sweat throughout this entire thing. But my God, what an absolute fight.
You're good.
Thank God.
So
I've
switch
got my
back
old
to
boot here.
sorry. Switch back to the dual cam. Just turn that eyeball off on the where it says Twitter names. There you go. Hey, yeah. So we've had plenty of our issues today.
What a menace, man. What an absolute menace.
Yeah, I think YouTube just kind of hates us because we had everything set up. Everything was looking great, and it just wasn't connecting. It kept saying that we didn't even have a connection. So it was like, okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and, I don't know, maybe just try to figure things out and take another 15 minutes. So we appreciate everybody bearing with us. If you don't know who we are, I'm, of course, Jason. You've heard my disembodied voice in a lot of videos. Tom, you've seen a little more because he's done a lot of the new series and stuff like that. And this is something that we want to start doing every Wednesday, believe it or not, despite the troubles that we just went through. So, yeah, we just kind of want to get back in touch with everybody that watches the channel and just get a chance to hang out with you guys. And so that's something that we've desperately missed, and it's been a while since we've done this. So
it's kind of crazy. I think it's been like a good year since we've done a live chat, which is really, really nice. Finally back. It's good to be here, and it's good to get in front of the camera and chat to you and answer some questions that you might have for us in the channel, and generally just have a chat about what's going on in the world of mixed martial arts. So it's awesome to be back. Thank you very much for joining us too. I don't know. I can't really see if we're streaming live, if the connection is good, but I'm just hoping that this is just gonna go just great from here.
Yeah, we're just gonna go with it at this point. But yeah, so I guess kind of jumping on to the first topics, so let's just get past all the
Beautiful segue.
the fun stuff. Yeah, so let's just say screw it to all that stuff and just move on. So one of my questions, I guess, would be for you, Tom. What do you think about all this Cyborg stuff and Dana White? So Dana White just went on and did his own rant last night again, saying that she doesn't want to fight Nunes and all this stuff. And
well, as the host, it'd be actually quite a nice idea if you have the knowledge to do so. Just give us a little recap so I can formulate some thoughts, and then you can come back at me and like break those points down and see what we got.
Sure.
For anyone out there who doesn't actually know anything about the Dana White Cyborg situation.
There you go. Well, so I'm not sure if everyone saw the scrum last night, but this is like the fourth or fifth time that Dana White's gone on record. He also did the interview the other day, the official UFC, interview on the official UFC page, all that kind of stuff. Basically just saying that Cyborg doesn't want to fight Nunes. She doesn't want any part of it. She wants to have easy fights. He doesn't blame her. I love that comment. It's like, oh, I don't blame her, like she wants to have easy fights, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, it's so clear and outright a byproduct of failed negotiations in terms of trying to get to the table where they're each wanting to be. So as a result, Dana White's just playing classic hardball, and he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to tell everybody that what Cyborg wants to do is not fight, and she wants to just go fight easy competition. So last night, he basically just doubled down on it, and I don't know, he's tried to defend like all the comments from back in the day saying that Cyborg looked like Vanderlei Silva in a dress and heels. He actually tried to defend that, which I thought was funny. But what do you think? Do you think she's scared?
It's a bizarre situation because you would have thought that both Dana White and Cyborg would just both get along to make this fight, but clearly something is happening. And I don't really understand where this breakdown is coming from, especially now. Obviously, Cyborg put out that now infamous video of Dana White subtitles saying that, hey, whenever I talk about you in the media, it's not the truth, implying that he's lying in front of the media to, I don't know what, build up Amanda Nunes. I don't really know, but from a fan's point of view, it's just like, for God's sake, just make that fight. For me, I don't know where this breakdown is coming from, because it seems like everyone wants it. Jason Perillo wants the fight. He's come out really recently to say, you know, he wants to see her rematch Amanda Nunes. Audie, her manager, I mean, for God's sake, he is the manager of some of UFC's top stars. The fact that surely he's there saying, look, Cyborg, this is where we make the money, this is where we want to be, and the next fight we want, it's got to be Nunes to clear your name, get in there and rectify that vicious knockout loss that she unfortunately came to. Well, not unfortunately, that was fucking awesome, that fight, and that knockout was unreal. So I don't know where this breakdown is coming from. The only thing, as I was saying, the only thing that I think it's coming from is the fact that maybe after that video went out, Dana was like, you know what, fuck this, you're gonna try and, you know, taint my name in the media, make me look like a bad guy, fuck it, I'm done with you. Which is bizarre considering his history of, you know, disliking people like Tito Ortiz and constantly bringing Tito back into the UFC because that's who the fans wanted to see. But I don't know, I have no idea where the communication breakdown is coming from. Unless at the end of the day, Cyborg is just straight up lying, and maybe she just does want these easy fights. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really kind of fascinating. It seems like it's almost like one of these things where, because Dana White tried to use that to his defense too, where he was like, yeah, I did still sign these fights with Tito, and I did still do it with Mark Hunt. But it does seem like maybe in his mind, I'm starting to wonder if he thinks things have swayed so much. I mean, we talk about the ESPN deal now where we know that the pay-per-views are still worth a lot to the UFC, even if they don't do really well. So they might do something like 100,000 viewers, but ESPN is still going to pay them so much that they're making all the money. So maybe there's a new place that Dana White is just kind of settling into, where it's like, even though it's the biggest fight, I mean, there is no bigger fight in women's MMA right now aside from Shevchenko, and they've already fought twice between her and Nunes. So it doesn't really make sense in my mind to do that for another couple fights. So it does just kind of seem like Dana White has just decided, you know what? Yeah. I can get away with this now because now I don't have to rely on stars as much as I used to.
Yeah, absolutely. And do we actually know how much Cyborg is getting paid from fight to fight, what her contract is? Are those numbers actually public at the moment or no?
Yeah, that is a good question, actually.
Because maybe the UFC are just drastically underpaying her, and she's like, you know what? I'm fighting these main events, these big fights. You know, I should be earning more money, and maybe, you know, she's played a bit of hardball, and UFC just don't want to pay her this massive amount that she may or may not be, you know, really reaching for. Maybe she's like, hey, I want $1 million to fight, and I want $1 million to fight Amanda Nunes. Maybe, you know, I don't know the numbers, but maybe that's the case. And they're just like, who the fuck do you think you are? We ain't paying you nothing. We're not getting anywhere near that number for you to fight.
Yeah, we've actually got a bit of a young Jamie situation going on here. So if you guys don't know our social media guy, his name is Steven Jensen. He's also started editing videos. He's written for us. He's just kind of done everything. And so right now he's actually doing the young Jamie role because we just throw everything at him. So it looks like she, way less than you would have thought. Yeah, don't switch to that. Yeah. We didn't set that up, so because we had to restart OBS so many times that we didn't get to reset.
Jesus.
That. Yeah. So, yeah. So
give me those numbers, Jason. Give me those numbers.
It's 145,000 that she made, like, for everything, and this is for the last fight. Oh my God!
Well, there you go. If that's the numbers, that Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so it was 70 to show and 70 to win. I didn't realize it was quite that low.
Fucking no wonder she doesn't want to re-sign with the UFC if they're paying her that shit. That's awful. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that is beyond brutal.
Go to Bellator. Chris, go to Bellator. Go to PFL. Fuck that shit, man. That's awful, isn't it? What's Amanda Nunes making? Like $500,000, probably?
Yeah, who knows? He'd have to look that one up as well. But we did get, if you want to look that up, that would be interesting to see what the pay disparity.
Sorry,
obviously, she's not champion anymore, so there definitely is a pay decrease. But I'm sure we have something there. But in between that, we did get a super chat from Bradley Harrell. Odd question. Do you think there will ever be a guy-girl... Oh, do you ever think there will be guy-girl fights together, meaning like women 145 against a guy at 125? I know Henry said something about it. So I didn't see this comment that he said. I do find that hilarious, though. I'll take the quick answer on that and say no. What was that, Tom?
No, I was just saying, can you quickly repeat the question for me because I didn't hear you?
Oh, gotcha. Do you think there will ever be guy-girl fights together? So meaning like women at 145 might fight against a guy at 125 because Cejudo is at 125, and I guess made some comments about that.
Maybe in bare knuckle FC, you might see that at some point. If Alexander Emelianenko is going to fight in bare knuckle, then Jesus Christ, like you could see anything in there. I want to see Tulo Zinio fight over at Bare Knuckle FC. That would be sick. Let's get all those old Pride guys in Bare Knuckle. Anyway, sorry, yeah. Were we talking about Cyborg?
No, I'm down for it. Let's get Giant Silva in there while we're at it.
With a big stick. Yeah,
with a big stick that he just does some weird act for after the fight. So yeah, I'd be shocked beyond shocked if that ever happens. I don't know. Do you think it would happen, Bradley? I'd be interested to get your own kind of thoughts on that. But yeah, for me, that's what that seems. Did you, by any chance, find the Amanda Nunes numbers? Oh, you didn't even.
No, I do have Spencer if you want to see that difference.
Yeah. No, I don't. I mean, Felicia Spencer did have a pretty big difference. So apparently, she made $17,500 total. That is pretty insulting, dude.
Jeez.
How do you get away with that? Because that's the thing. Like, people are like, yeah, I'd like to have a $17,500 paycheck. Yeah, that does sound pretty decent when you look at it on the surface, but you're thinking of all the travel that they have to do, all the people that they have to bring along with them, their camp, that like this just crazy amount of effort that they have to put into everything. You're just dashing it. But looks like we did get Amanda Nunes up on there. So she made $500,000 in her last fight, which was $300,000 to show, $200,000 to win. So we're looking at quite the disparity now. And to be fair, she is champion. It does make sense that a champion would make more, but man, it tells you the priorities.
What's Nunes' last fight? Was that not Cyborg?
Holly. That was.
Of course it was. Of course it was. Yeah, that makes sense.
Everyone just remembers the Masvidal.
We were there live for that as well.
We were literally.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Everyone just remembers the Masvidal knockout, and it's just like, wait, what else happened that night?
I tuned out after that. Yeah, I went to the bar. I went in. Yeah. Who are you? Who are you? I swear to God, we went to 239, and it was just a crazy experience. And I think and this is why I don't remember the Nunes home fight, because I'm pretty sure in the middle of that fight, that's when Jason was stood next to like Moicano, just having a conversation about something. Who are you stood next to like randomly? And I was like, why is Jason just like randomly talking to who was it?
Piotr Jan.
That was
I asked
surreal.
him about his
Jason's
name.
just having a chat with her.
Yeah, just partying hard, man. It was actually kind of a lot of fun. Like I was just walking around at one point. I don't know. I think I was trying to get like a hot dog or something. I swear to God. And Todd Duffy walks by with a full head of hair. I didn't recognize him, but he was so like ridiculously buff. I'm like, this is not a normal. Wait, that's Todd Duffy with hair. Wait, what? And he was just walking around. Like I didn't say anything to him because he looked kind of scary, to be frank, and he looked like he didn't want to talk to anybody. But there was a lot of people that were there just kind of hanging out. It was actually kind of surprising to see how many people we ended up seeing. But yeah, Piotr Jan, he was just like, don't call me Peter. He's like, I hate it when Americans call me Peter. English speakers in general just, it's like Fedor, or like how people say it when they try to say it properly, like Fyodor. It's like Piotr.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Sorry, I keep going off on different paths here.
Yeah, but I guess if we were just kind of sum that up, I think it's ridiculous that Dana's out there trying to say that Cyborg doesn't want that fight. And actually, the one thing that I thought was really funny is Dana said something like, "Oh, she calls me tomorrow. I'll make the fight. If she really wants the fight, we'll make the fight." And so Cyborg, a few moments later after he had said that last night, was just like, "Oh, well, I've got Paradigm Management and we're ready to fly out there tomorrow." So, like, not even just call, like she had posted that. So it was kind of a wild thing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we have like a scenario like the Yair Rodriguez situation where he didn't want to take a fight and then they cut him and then they finally after what was it, like a month of being a free agent, they signed him straight back up to fight a Korean Zombie. I mean, we might just be having a situation like that. I think it's also interesting that I think that video is super interesting where Cyborg's production team put up those subtitles to almost kind of trap him into saying something that maybe he didn't say. And there's a part of me that thinks there that once Dana White saw that, he thought, actually, no, if this is the low levels that she's going to go to try and make me look shit in the media, then I don't want anything to do with it. I think it's really interesting that almost immediately after that as well, when he went and did that interview and they severed ties, Chris came out immediately on Twitter and said, like, look, no, this was my fault and I shouldn't have said it, and I blame the production team and I've had harsh words with the production team and something like this will never ever happen again. It makes me think that Dana White maybe have threatened a defamation case against Chris Cyborg. Now there was a really interesting thing as well that happened like a few months ago with Conor McGregor's coach John Kavanagh, where he posted on Twitter saying that, oh, it's great to finally get justice from what the Cage Warriors president said about me and having a doctor in the pocket. I don't know if you saw this tweet. And the president of Cage Warriors had to go on Twitter to publicly apologize to him because he was going to threat legal action against him. Now, it makes me think maybe if you were to pull back the curtain, something similar to this might be happening. I don't know. This is just my thoughts.
Yeah, I also, the other side of it too, is it did seem like kind of a strange thing. Like she did kind of take responsibility for it, but she also said, oh, it was my production team. So I'm like, you didn't see the video? Like you didn't watch it?
I reckon she's got a big, I reckon she's got a big team out there. I reckon she's got a big production team behind her. Maybe her management has a role in that where she's just like, you know what? There's a bunch of fighters out there. There's a bunch of fighters out there like George Masvidal or Jorge Masvidal, however the fuck we're saying it now, who literally don't run their own Twitter accounts. Whenever you see that account tweet, that's not Masvidal. It's his management tweeting, and he's actually said that as well in public and on interviews before. So this might be a case of like she's just like, you know what, go off and do it. I don't need to okay any of this. Just go out and do it and promote my brand.
Yeah,
I want to train.
And that is a good point, too, because Cyborg's been called out for not making her own tweets as well. So that tweet where she's apologizing, so it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword because we don't actually know what's going on here. I think Dana White has looked pretty bad in this situation. I think almost unilaterally it seems like people are on Cyborg's side on this. I mean, you just look at those interviews and how poorly they've gone over with virtually everyone. Just does kind of look bad. But to give the benefit of the doubt, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. So just kind of playing devil's advocate there. We did get another super chat. It's from Bradley Harrell again. You are the man, Bradley. I feel there will be. So he's going back to the male versus female fights. He's all about this. Henry said it kind of joking. It was during an interview about Nunes. I feel one day it will. The shock effects would get people to watch, but I feel it can't go bad if Henry destroys here. Oh, it can go bad. I was like, that sounds terrible. Yeah. So I'm actually surprised that somebody would think that would happen. I would say in today's environment where, there's so much more of a push to kind of get away from domestic violence and things like that, that anybody would be open towards that. I mean, it is competition, so I can kind of get that, but I think it would be so unfair if you really started to do it. that it would
Maybe
just
if we
look
had,
brutally
maybe if it
bad.
wasn't, maybe if it wasn't weight to weight, maybe if we had like Gabby Garcia against Cejudo, then maybe. But no,
Well,
I don't think weight to weight. There's just that's a. I mean, there's the point of weight classes is that nobody has an advantage over anyone else, you know, and that's the reason why there are men and female divisions, because you know it's just super unfair.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because that was kind of the point with Nunes being, 145 or 135. But then again,
Of course, yeah.
Cejudo goes up to 135 too. So I mean, the most difference you'd be talking about is 10 pounds.
This is a weird chat. This is a weird chat.
Yeah, I mean, credit to the super chat. I mean, I appreciate the question, but that's a pretty tough sell for me. I honestly wouldn't want to see that. I would just be like kind of embarrassed and kind of maybe turn it away.
I love it though. I love it. I love that. I love the weird sort of like what if questions, because that's what's great about like, the old Pride fights and stuff, where the Pride matchmakers were just like, fuck it, let's put some random people together, and those ended up being the biggest fights. And weirdly, there's some of the like most famous fights. When you go back and if you don't know like much about MMA, or when you're just starting out to learn about MMA, you go down this sort of like YouTube rabbit hole, and then you find like sumo versus like skinny guy, and that's how you sort of ended up getting into it. I personally, I got into it through watching Fedor fuck up like these massive dudes like Zulozini and stuff. I think that's literally one of the first fights I ever saw. Is Fedor just like, and I think the title of that video was something like, kind of unassuming looking Russian man beats absolute beast of a man. I think that was what it was. But anyways, let's move on.
Yeah. So, I feel like we covered this subject pretty well, so that's a good point. So then, what do you think about this past weekend? Colby said his comments about Matt Hughes, and he's got all this stuff said about the title. One of my favorite things was actually the tweet that Jensen put out yesterday for us. That Carmouche said he feels blessed that he gets to beat up Colby Covington. That's his thing. I love that you're invoking Christianity to say that you're blessed to hurt someone. Like, that just seems really strange. Really weird melding of the two. But what do you think about A, his performance, and B, what do you think about just kind of where he's at in the division overall?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear after that performance against a top guy like Lawler that he is one of the best in the division, and he is absolutely 100% next for that welterweight title fight against Usman. When it comes to that performance as well, honestly, I was just really, really frustrated with Lawler's performance while watching that. At the end of the day, Covington's output is undeniable. There's no question. Absolutely 100% undeniable. The way he throws out he's throwing out jabs and he's constantly working. That has got to be the most infuriating thing in a fight, is to not be able to breathe. This guy just keeps coming forward and keeps putting pressure on you. But it was just frustrating to watch Lawler plod forward almost like what Dan Henderson used to look like. At the end of his career, he was looking for that one big H-bomb, or even Quinton Jackson at the end of his career. I know he's not done, but he is at the end of his career now. He's always looking for that big right hand. And to me, watching that fight, it was bizarre to see that was the game plan, to try and outlast Colby's onslaught, to make him tired, and then look for that big shot. It was bizarre. Maybe he was going for that big flurry at the end, but the one big takeaway I took from that is just like, oh man, that was a frustrating fight from Lawler, especially after the fight against Ben Askren. I would be furious, absolutely, if I'm not going to say whether or not he went out, but if he didn't go out and I was him, man, I would be looking forward to get back into the cage and really showing what I could do and just decimating a guy that everyone hates in Colby Covington. But at the end of the day, Covington is really that impressive. Like, it's for sure now, to go out and give that kind of performance and just really outwork a guy like Robbie Lawler. Let's do it, man. Let's finally get that fight going. Welterweight division is a fucking good division at the moment as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. So it was so impressive what Colby did, and I absolutely agree with you. I mean, it's so weird that they set up that interim title fight 2 months before Woodley was going to fight, and they said they were going to strip him, then they didn't strip him, and they waited forever to do that. And I think they didn't wait. It was like February that they did it, and it was like, I don't know, 6 or 7 months after they said they were going to strip him, because that was when he fought Darren Till, and they didn't do it. So, yeah, he absolutely deserves the title shot. I know that, we're talking about a pretty incredible, set of performances from Masvidal. I mean, he's just shaking up the world. But on the same token, it doesn't really make a lot of sense that he hasn't made this fight. So I do think that the performance, I expected Robbie to come in there and kind of do what he did with Ben Askren. Ben Askren tried to grapple him, and he almost knocked him out with a slam, and then almost knocked him out with punches. I
think he did knock him out. I think he did knock Askren out in that moment. I think he just came to.
Ooh, I mean, it's possible. I didn't see any signs that he was out. I mean, who knows?
I think he went out maybe within like a second and then came back to. I mean, personally, that's happened to me before. I've been punched in the face, and you know, like a minute later, you're still like moving around doing stuff, and you're like, shit, I don't remember the last 1 minute of my life. Maybe he just went into autopilot. I think he was gone. But anyways, it doesn't matter whether he was out or he wasn't out. Jason, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it just didn't seem like there's a lot of evidence to suggest that, because he did get up and continue wrestling. But it is one of those kind of things where you would have expected Robbie to be able to hold his own in the wrestling department, because he manhandled a wrestler. I mean, just slammed the shit out of him. So, like, that was what I kind of expected. But I thought, actually, Luke Thomas did a great breakdown about this on Monday. I thought that Colby had a brilliant game plan. Essentially, the way Luke Thomas saw it is Robbie would get taken to the ground, and he would almost immediately stand up. And so there would be this kind of like feeling of like, oh man, he's going to get out of this. And sometimes he did. But it does make sense that what Colby was doing was actually trying to tire him out. So he'd let him stand up, use all that energy to lift yourself back up after you've just been taken down, try to fight yourself out of that situation, but stay in control of him, so that as soon as you get another chance, you just take him down again. He stands back up, rinse and repeat. And for a while there, I thought maybe it was going to turn into like a rope-a-dope. MMA's rope-a-dope is widely considered to be Frank Shamrock versus Tito Ortiz way back in the day, when Frank Shamrock was just going up against a much bigger guy. I mean, realistically, Frank Shamrock was a 185er, where, Tito Ortiz was like the first guy that was really cutting weight. And so Frank Shamrock in that fight, he basically fought by resisting and going through all these kind of defensive battles on the ground, not letting Tito get anything off. And you could kind of say the same for Maurice Smith versus Mark Coleman. And by the end of it, Tito Ortiz was just dead. And that was when Frank Shamrock was able to get the finish in. I believe it was the third or fourth round. And I thought that maybe that was happening with Robbie Lawler. But as time was going on, it was clear that, to me at least, that it was Colby's method of action, because he just believes in his pace that much that he was able to keep it going. But it's beyond impressive that he was able to do that to a guy like that. And it's really hard to say, you never really know if a fighter's going down. A lot of people say so about Robbie, but I also just think he's been in incredible fights. I mean, he lost to RDA, a former champion. Nothing wrong with that. He's losing to Colby, who deserves the number one contender slot and is the number one contender, should be fighting for the title. Nothing wrong with that. And the Ben Askren one was just super weird. So if you look at his most recent losses, I think it's really hard to kind of pile too much on him in terms of, has he degraded or anything like that. We really just have seen him against top competition.
So, when that fight was over and done with and he got his opportunity to talk about his performance, he said one of the key things Robbie Lawler says, regardless whether he wins or loses, like, I'm just going to go back to the gym, go back to the drawing board. I'm going to go back and I'm going to, get my next fight scheduled, and we go from there. Where does he go from here? Which fight is he, where do you see him matching up next within the welterweight division?
I like Stephen Thompson, or I like Darren Till. Guys that also like to go for the finish. It matches his fight style. To my knowledge, they don't have fights booked yet, right? So that would make a lot of sense. We actually did get a couple super chats in here, so let me get to those real quick. So Bradley Harrell, he said, "Sorry, dudes, lol. I was just bringing up this question as a joke. Thought it was funny that Cejudo had said that about possibly fighting Nunes. I said, odd question, all caps, lol. All right, so yeah, we feel you. It was an odd question. You said that self-aware before we got into it. We just kind of roasted you, so you're totally fine on that, man. It's a fun question, so we got a chance to go off on a tangent with that one. Somebody asked, it's Tarek Tarhan, also gave us a $2 super chat. Will Dana or Cyborg release real facts? Oh, I love that, because Dana White's just been saying, these are just the facts, man. These are just the facts about every single thing. It's like, if they're the facts, I mean, we have no way of verifying them. It's just kind of like what you're telling us.
They're a real company, man. That's what I think that's one of the things that we're a real company.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's where you're not acting like one at the moment, really. Actually, I shouldn't say that. Please don't copyright our videos. Like, you're the man, Dana. You're the fucking man.
We love you so much. No criticism whatsoever. Yeah, so we did kind of cover that subject to a pretty good level here. But Bradley Harrell has another question, $2.
Bradley.
Yeah, dude, this guy's the man. Do you see Cyborg signing a one-fight deal for Amanda? So I do get the conundrum here. So Dana White doesn't want to sign her to a one-fight deal. It's the same thing with GSP. And I understand the GSP one. Like, as badly as I want to see that Khabib fight, he's talking about basically doing what he did with middleweight. And middleweight's been in kind of chaos. He went in there, took that belt, didn't fight Robert Whittaker, just kind of disappeared. And then Robert Whittaker has just been injured forever, and so hasn't had any of those real title defenses. And when he fought Cejudo, wow.
What a fight.
Yeah, when he fought Cejudo, he just destroyed him. He said, you're going to talk crap about Nunes. I'll show you the big man coming in here. But no, when he fought Yoel didn't make weight, so it's one of those kind of things. And I totally understand why Dana doesn't want GSP to do that and just wreck the lightweight division, which has been wrecked for so many years with Conor already. So the kind of same situation is happening with Nunes, I believe, here from his opinion. And I do kind of get it. I think the way he's doing it is he's being a total jerk about it. And I don't think he's being honest. I think, and from what I think he's being deceitful. She could be being deceitful too. But it is one of those kind of things where I do understand why he wouldn't want to fight her to a one-fight deal or sign her to a one-fight deal, because then she gets to just leave.
And if we know our pro wrestling, and Jensen will tell you this, if we know our pro wrestling, if she wins that belt back, she's going to Bellator and she's putting that thing in the bin, bro. That's what she's doing.
Oh yeah, she's gonna show up on air.
Scott Coker's gonna walk out with his big old chin, and he's gonna bring this trash can, and then Stephen Bonner's going to come along with a dude in a mask, and then he's going to reveal it to be Cyborg, and Cyborg's going to throw that fucking shit in the bin. That's WCW 101, that is.
Yeah, it crossed with Bellator's unique brand of really bad promotion. That
Weird.
Stephen Bonner,
was mad.
Yeah, taking off that mask for I still don't really know who that guy was. Like Tommy Sohold explained it in one of our videos, but I learned it that day and it went right out of my head.
Yeah.
We did get another super chat here. So Bradley Taylor, a different Bradley this time. Do you think Colby would have to beat Usman before the media gives him the credit for being as good as he is? I mean, at the moment, they seem to focus on his outside the cage antics and behavior. Actually, Luke Thomas was talking about this specific thing. I mean, we just got done, looking at all this stuff after the fight, and so that's kind of fresh in my mind, which is why I keep bringing him up. Plus, I just also really like Luke Thomas. Okay, don't be awkward. But anyhow, so he basically said the exact same thing that Bradley's saying here, that the media is focusing too much on the antics and things like that as opposed to what he's actually doing.
Yeah.
And to our credit, I think you and I have tried to spend a lot more time talking about what Colby has done in his fight. But yeah, that is the thing about the antics. The antics are annoying. I've said publicly, and I don't know how many videos already, that I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he's got a really bad gimmick. It doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. But the guy can fight. And at the end of the day, that's what we're watching. Yeah. That's what we're here for. So, I don't know. What do you think about that question? Do you think the media isn't giving enough credit for how good he is?
I don't know, man. I just think that, personally, as a fan, I just got no interest in the shit that he's doing with the Trump stuff and that sort of that gimmick. To be fair, it was cool. He got the Trumps in the house. Like that's a pretty cool achievement, I guess. But like honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I'm fucking tired of it, to be honest with you. Like he's been doing this for a few years, and clearly it's an act. I mean, some of those videos, behind the scenes videos of him actually talking to fans and giving fans advice on fans who maybe want to become fighters or who are current fighters, and asking his advice. He actually gives really interesting, detailed, and very decent, nice feedback to those people. He's not like chatting all this shit to those fans. But I don't know, man. It's embarrassing, dude. If I was to like call up my fucking mum or something like that and be like, "Oh, mum, like I think you'd really like the UFC," and then she'd tune into that, she'd be like, "Mate, this is embarrassing." And I'd probably say, yeah, you're right. So it's kind of given the fact that that's the big topic at the moment is kind of embarrassing. I mean, the stuff that you said about Matt Hughes as well was
that's a
weird.
Real person.
It's a weird. Can you imagine? You imagine he's in his like hotel room, and his like his manager or his like coach comes up to him and he goes, "Colby, what are you gonna, when you beat Lawler tomorrow, what are you gonna say?" And he's just like, "Man, I got all these ideas." And then he shows that idea to his coach about Matt Hughes, and then that coach being like, "Yeah, Colby, that's a sick thing to say." It's just like, no. Like, who's his support there? Like, who's his support saying like, "Oh, dude, you're killing it. It's going over really, really well." Someone should probably say to him. Didn't he do something with WWE or something, Colby? Didn't he do something? He did some sort
Impact. Was it Impact?
Impact. Oh, TNA. Yeah.
Colby wants to work with the WWE right now. Like
He wants to work with the WWE.
Yeah.
So we're asking our resident pro wrestling expert, Steven Jensen, and yeah, apparently he wants to do something with WWE. And sorry to cut you off a little bit there. I just don't know how much they could hear you, so I was trying to summarize it as you were saying it there.
Training partner with Bobby Lashley.
Training partner with Bobby Lashley, apparently.
Oh, there you go.
That would make a lot of sense. Yeah, that's his angle to try to get in.
I don't know, man. It's it's weird. It's a weird thing. It's something that people shouldn't like hang on or listen to. Just let him do it. Like a small child who's just crying, you just put him in the corner and be like, and push him away and be like, get on with it. Just come on, go to school. No time. It's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. It's just fight. That's what we want. That's what we want to see. We just want to see people fight, and that's what I want to see, anyways.
Yeah, seriously. So here's another thing. Like, you guys don't want to hear us. What are you living in? Like, in the UK, it's weird. In America, it's weird. On either side of the aisle, it doesn't matter what side you're on. It's just kind of a cesspool right now. And like, why the hell would I want to mix that? Like. With fighting. It's like, oh yeah, like I'm watching these dudes fight, and right now I want to think about politics. Like, fuck politics. Like, politics are the most toxic they've ever been.
Gnarly head kick. I want to see some gnarly head kick. I want to see someone go down with some like spinning back shit. I don't want to hear about like Trump or politics. It's weird. It's a weird angle to take. I love that he took it though. I mean,
you know what I want with my head kicks?
Don't care about it.
You know what I want with my fighting? I want economic policy. I want to talk about economic policy. Like what the
fuck?
There
you go, man.
What are you guys doing out there? So I think Nonsense. It's a really, really strange kind of thing there. But yeah, to his credit, I think he's also trying to get that kind of attention. So it is fair that media is focusing on what he's trying to get them to focus on. I also think he's trying to get the focus on those antics. So if the media is over focusing on Colby, it's because he's putting the pressure on himself that way.
Yeah, maybe it's also, his few years when he wasn't doing that stuff and he was getting wins and he was going backstage and he's giving the interviews and you got some fucking guy with a nerdy microphone and asking Colby questions and he's just like, hey, where's like John Morgan? Where's Ariel Helwani? Why aren't they asking me questions? Oh, wait, they're over there asking Conor McGregor, So I got to do some shit to make myself more popular. And I guess he just took the Trump route. So, whatever.
He was like, you know what? The one thing that everyone wants to talk about today is American politics. Let's just talk about that all day. So I don't get it. But we did get another question here. This is a super chat from somebody by the name of The Last Stand 001. So, dude, you're like the first secret agent ever. Okay. Do you think the only guy that can beat Jones is a Dagestani light heavyweight with the last name Magomed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sure. I guess they. I don't know if you're referring to a specific fighter. I'll be honest, I don't know who you're talking about, but I think you're going with the idea that a lot of people have names like Magomed Kirimov, or Magomed Sharipov. It's got Magomed in there somewhere, and it's a wrestler that can put on a grueling pace. So if you're talking about somebody super underground that I embarrassingly don't know, then I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to try to BS about it.
Do you not know about Magomed? He's fucking killing it over there in KSW, dude.
Oh, dude, there's so many Magomeds. So hopefully we'll see an answer back from you there. But yeah, so I'm interested to see what your guys' thoughts on really that whole situation is. I don't know. Who does beat John Jones is a good question. But moving on, what do you think about this weekend's card? So we got Shevchenko versus Luis Carmouche. Luis Carmouche actually beat Shevchenko in the past, but it was like a weird cut type kind of thing. It wasn't like, oh, she just dominated her. It was, I believe it was a toenail type kind of thing. Not quite as bad as the Kat Zingano loss to Megan Anderson, but it was that type of thing. So, I don't know. That was also a long time ago. I mean, we're taling, I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't seen that. Is that a fight that you can watch online, or when was that?
We might.
Have you seen that? I haven't seen that fight. I knew that she fought. I knew that she lost, but I haven't seen it or anything. I don't think it means a damn thing about what's going to happen on Saturday or Sunday night. But when is it even on? Is it UK time on Saturday again? That would be spectacular.
No.
But yeah, sorry, what were you going to say?
Oh, the ratings just came out for the one on Saturday, and it was really bad, so I don't think they're going to be doing that again. Apparently, the reason behind that, it was originally supposed to be a Moscow card, so they already had the time slot basically nailed down, and the UFC couldn't move out of it, so they were just kind of stuck in that really early day time slot, even though they were in America. But the ratings came back. It was like 650,000 concurrent streams, where it was over 1 million for UFC on ESPN4. That was UFC on ESPN5. But he did pull up the record. So Valentina Shevchenko lost in 2010. Second round,
that's not
3 minutes.
That's not going to matter at all. This is a weird fight in the first place to have. It's great, don't get me wrong. It's great to have Shevchenko there fighting so soon again, after absolutely wrecking Jessica Ai with that glorious sweeping head kick. But it's a weird fight to make. I'm pretty sure, didn't Liz Carmouche, isn't she sort of like 2-2 in her last few fights at flyweight? I'm pretty sure she lost her debut at this weight class.
Yeah.
If you got that. But anyways, like
over here too.
It's a super bizarre fight. I don't even know who Liz. She's 2-2 in her last. Yeah, I mean it's a weird fight. I mean it's great. It's great to get her back fighting, and this is what you want to see. But I just think it's against sort of subpar. No, I mean no disrespect to Carmouche, but I don't really see how she's going to be competition for Shevchenko. I mean, I don't know the details. You said something about a toenail in that first fight. That would make sense, because I just don't know. When you see Shevchenko on the ground now as well, she's so dominant and incredibly powerful as well. It's where do you see Carmouche has advantages? Strength. But is strength going to win you this fight? I don't know. I mean, maybe we saw Andrade fucking destroy Nunes with strength. So maybe we'll see recap of that. That would be great. That slam was crazy.
Speaking of which, she actually has a win over Andrade.
What Carmouche does?
Yeah. But she's the bigger girl, and that's also the thing.
Yeah.
That's also another big thing. So not only is the experience much more vast for Shevchenko now, they're fighting at 125 this time, where they fought, I believe it was at 135 for that fight. So we're talking about now what Shevchenko has said forever, that she feels 125 is her class. And it showed that so far. I mean, she's been murdering everybody. And she had already beaten Joanna in their Muay Thai fights back in the day. She's always been dominant in their exchanges, but it was just so one-sided when they fought again in the UFC. So I do think that we're probably looking at Shevchenko as a more fully matured. I mean, how many fights was she even into her career? I mean, both of them. So it was 5 fights into her career for Liz Carmouche, and Valentina Shevchenko was 7-1. So she was 8 fights into her career. So they're pretty early into both of their careers. And I mean, we're talking 9 years ago now. I mean, it's just an incredibly long journey to this point where I don't think we're looking at the same fighters for either. We did get a super chat here, I do believe. There it is. Zach Stolpa. Does the UFC regret trading Mighty Mouse? Ooh. If Ben Askren keeps losing, maybe they might. But then again, I do think he's done pretty well. I mean, we did our interesting facts about Ben Askren, and that's one of our most viewed videos this year. You know, it's just done incredibly, incredibly well. So it does appear he's pulled in numbers. And even if he's lost, that Masvidal loss is a nice highlight reel addition there.
If you're going to lose in the first 5 seconds from a flying knee, like, Jesus Christ, like that. That was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's kind of mad as well because he tried it against Till and ended up kicking him in the balls. But it's kind of crazy that he just did the exact same thing and knocked him out in that way. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, it was really funny because it's literally like the same like explosive startup that just utterly failed against Darren Till. What was really funny about that too is, you know, because we saw Darren Till when we were at UFC Liverpool last year. And, you know, we were there in that arena, you know, because we're in Liverpool there. Obviously, that's his hometown. So it was just totally
Shout out
crazy.
Jay Tivo.
Yeah, shout out to Jay Tivo. Yeah. It's one of those just kind of funny things where you know, you just had the crowd so amped up, and we saw that in Liverpool, and they did it again when he fought Masvidal in London, and everybody's just so amped up, and then all of a sudden he just runs out and kicks him in the dick immediately, and the crowd just goes silent. They're just like, oh man, like, it's the best thing ever. So it is funny that you had the worst case scenario the first time he tried to be explosive coming out, and then he just had the most incredible knockout. I mean, that might be my favorite knockout. I mean, that I can even think of in recent memory. That might be my favorite knockout ever. I mean, it was just that shocking. There was that much hype going into it. It's really, really tough to, you know, pick your best knockout ever, but it's definitely up there in like top 10 ever, maybe even top 5, you know.
I was, as soon as that knockout happened, I was ready to go home. I was ready to get on the plane and go home. I was like, there's nothing.
You can't top that.
I was going to beat that. That's why I don't remember the Nunes Holm fight, because I was checked out. I was on the flight. I was fast asleep.
Yeah. Jay Tivo said, sup, by the way. He's grateful for your shout out there. But yeah, so getting it back to you, Shevchenko and Carmouche, I really do think that we're seeing Shevchenko at her optimal weight. I think we're seeing at her ultimate maturation. We're seeing her do, I mean, talk about other devastating knockouts, you know, who's been retweeting everything Ben Askren said, well, that sucked. It's been Jessica I, who also got knocked out brutally in a very similar way and was out for like 3 minutes, totally lifeless. So I definitely think that we're looking at the best version of her. Liz Carmouche is great. I mean, she did almost upset Ronda Rousey with that rear naked choke almost. But was it Ronda? I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, it's kind of interesting watching Shevchenko at the moment because it kind of reminds me of like BJ Penn jumping back and forth between like the welterweight and the lightweight divisions, and he was so dominant in the lightweight division, and you know that he obviously jump up he jumped up to welterweight and lost a few fights there, and obviously had that big title unification. But there's seen some parallels between their careers as well. Obviously not now because BJ is getting absolutely wrecked, and that's just so fucking sad. But yeah, I can see some parallels. Like she's sort of dominating in this division, and you know going up and fighting Nunes can't quite get the win there. But yeah, no, I'll be fascinated to see how the next couple of years in her career goes. I honestly just love to see that third fight with Nunes back up at 135. But it seems at the moment that she's just in this great space where she's just delivering exactly what the fans want to see from her, and I'm super fine with that.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually did just get an alert from ESPN because It just showed up on my iPad. Yay. Thank you, ESPN. Edgar is moving down to bantamweight. So this is something that people have been talking about forever. Finally getting down to 135 pounds. He was way smaller against Holloway. I mean, he was way smaller against Ortega.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's the right move. Like, I'm actually, like, that fight was incredibly competitive. He was really, really good against Max Holloway. I thought Max Holloway was going to blow him away. That fight was close. Max Holloway won probably 4 rounds to 1, but that doesn't tell the whole story. You know, like, each of those rounds, Edgar was having tons of success. It just wasn't enough to win the rounds. You know, it was way more back and forth than I thought that it would be. And he was just super fast, super elusive. And he's just so small that I think, you know, he's kind of getting bullied. And especially when you look at that Ortega loss, I mean, that uppercut took his legs off the ground. You know, we're talking about much bigger guys. I think it's the right move. I mean, can you imagine? I don't know. That would be controversial. I was going to say if Conor McGregor landed a left hand on him, you know, it's like we're talking about a guy that's always been undersized classically, and it feels like he's finally getting down to his weight. And I don't think he slowed down at all. The performance that he put on against Max Holloway, even though it was a loss, showed that guy still got it. I was thoroughly impressed with Edgar, so I'm happy to hear him going down. I think he can be tremendously competitive there. I mean, him versus Hudo sounds fun if he can manage to get like 3 wins or something like that, or you know, Cruz, or you know, TJ when he finally comes back. So I think it's pretty fun.
Lots of really interesting fights for him down in that weight class. It's actually just a shame that he hasn't done it sooner. And now he's racking up some serious failed title shot attempts as well. So the question is as well, how fast would anyone want to actually see him fight for a title again? Because he's getting older and he's going to have to put a few guys away in the bantamweight division to do that for sure.
Yeah, from my point of view, I'm always kind of in the mindset like you've got to have a few good quality wins. So my mindset's like 3 or something like that because you don't want it to happen so soon. They kind of did that to Uriah Faber. Uriah Faber basically just kind of got tossed around with title shots, and he was always beating top contenders to his credit. But it just kind of put him in this weird scenario where he's trying to fight for titles, which is why I don't think he should be fighting Cejudo next because he just came back, man. Like, I know he wants the title shot, and I know he feels like he's ready for it. But give him a couple more wins. Let the guy, you know, kind of get his bearings before he goes up in there. And what was it? I think he had one fight in between Barao when he lost to him the first time before he fought him again. So it's just kind of like I think you need to give the guys a little bit of air, and I think Frankie Edgar, if you give him a couple fights, he does well down there. Let him earn the title shot. He wants to earn the title shot. He's that guy with that kind of work ethic. I think he wouldn't want it any other way. So
100%.
I'm excited about that. So let's look kind of ahead here. So Zabit just got announced against Calvin Kattar. I think it's kind of interesting because Zabit is ranked at number 5. Kattar is ranked at number 11. The Yair fight just got booked with Jeremy Stevens, rather. And Jeremy Stevens just lost, to Zabit. So it would make sense if we saw, they're literally ranked 5 and 6. This is the UFC's own rankings that they're supposed to be using as metrics to make their own fights. It's really strange to me that they would just decide to say, you know what? Let's just mix this up and let's not put the top guys up against other top guys. Let's have him go back to number 11. He should be fighting Yair, or he should be fighting Ortega. He should be fighting somewhere up there. He's ranked number 5. He should be fighting somebody in the top 5. So personally, I think it's going to be a fun fight no matter what because both of them are fun. But you should be fighting closer to the title, you know?
It is bizarre, especially the performance he put on against Jeremy Stevens. I think that was the big question as well. It's like, can Zabit actually perform at this high level against the best guys in that division? And he just pretty much answered that. I mean, he's so fucking like big for that division as well. He's so long and he's just outrageously good. And you know, I'm disappointed that they still haven't been able to get that Rodriguez fight done. And I'm also really disappointed. I don't know when that was announced. That's the first time that I think I've heard that's who he's going to be fighting now. But yeah, no, that is disappointing because that Ortega fight was there for him to really go and then snatch up that next title shot. So where I don't know where they go from there. I'm not sure, but yeah, regardless, it'll be an awesome fight. I don't know what Calvin's record is looking like. Didn't he lost to Moicano, who recently lost to, I know this is MMA math, who lost to Korean Zombie recently. But yeah, it definitely seems like a backstep to come from for beating Stevens the way he did. Doesn't make much sense. I mean, I'm a huge Zabit fan. I just want him to fight for the title now. I've been saying this for the last year. I'm just like, just throw him in there. Just throw him to him. You know, Ortega kind of got that. I mean, he beat Edgar, sure, but like he kind of got that opportunity when clearly it was way too early for him to be fighting Holloway. I almost said Holloway. So I don't know. That fight is what it is. I've got no problem with it.
Well, so to play devil's advocate here, too, to go against my own point. So, obviously, Volkanovski, that's the fight to make against Holloway right now. They're going to try to make that by the end of the year. Even if they don't fight in Australia, Holloway said he wants to fight by the end of the year, like December-ish. He at least wants to fight by then. So, that fight will be happening next. So, that does leave a pocket. And it does seem to be a safer bet if you are trying to align Zabit for a title shot to have him going against somebody lower ranked who's on a 2-fight win streak. And you're right, he did lose to Moicano. So then that sets up a situation where we've got possibly Zabit getting a pretty safe title shot as he's already at 5.
Maybe this is his. Yeah, maybe this is his Dennis Siver fight. You know, Conor McGregor dispatched Dennis Siver, and that fight made absolutely no sense whatsoever. Obviously, this isn't anywhere close to how much of a mismatch that fight actually was at that point. This is a much closer fight, and both of those guys are absolutely beastly dudes. So, I mean, it's not like we're just kind of saying, oh yeah, this is a tune-up fight for Zabit, but also maybe nobody fucking wants to fight him. Maybe there's a lot of guys out there who just, you know, I feel like it's a constant struggle, or at least it seems like it's a constant struggle to get Zabit matched up with people. I mean, Stevens took it like an absolute champ. He's like, yeah, I'll fight anyone. But maybe, you know, maybe it's a struggle. Maybe the reason the rankings are so far apart is because maybe a lot of guys are just like, no, I'm not quite ready for that fight. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, and to your point, Yair was, you know, you remember when he was let go for like 3 days last year and everybody was like, what the hell? How are you going to let go of a top talent like that? That was the rumored reason that, I mean, I think Dana White even actually said it. Yeah, like that he wouldn't take it. So if you're not going to take fights, we're going to fire you. Yeah. And they somehow got over that hump. I don't know how they did it, but yeah, so to your credit, to your point there, that did appear that that's what did happen with Yair the last time, and that might be the reason why they haven't booked it, because as it turns out, not too stoked about that fight.
Yeah.
But we're coming down to about 11:30 my time, which would be about 5:30 your time, which I think is coming right at an hour. So I think it's probably a good time to go ahead and bring this in for a landing. We very much appreciate you guys coming in and joining the chat. You know, next week I feel like we'll have all the you know, kind of kinks ironed out, and I think we'll have a good chance to have a chat about this time. So we'll do it from Wednesdays going forward. We'll do it at the same time, which is 11 a.m. Eastern time, and that would be 5 GMT, right?
It would be.
Yeah. So if you're over there in the UK, that's the time that it would be. Or no, 4 o'clock. That's what it is. I was doing 6 hours plus. I'm in Central Time, so I'm trying to do all the math for all these other different area codes and things like that within America, and then also go over the UK. But yeah, so I think we've had a really good time. I've really enjoyed the chat, really enjoyed interacting with you guys. It's a good chance to just come on here and see everybody in the chat and just kind of hang out for a little bit. So
yeah, it's absolutely mad that we've sort of grown this channel to, 425,000 subscribers. So thank you so much for everyone, out there watching. Like at the end of the day, if you go back and you watch the first like podcast that we ever we ever did, like back a couple of years ago, it's I was in the dark. It was sort of like midnight. We just never expected for anyone to care or really watch this. We just did it because we love this, we love this sport, and it's just so cool to get to be in this situation, to be here and chat to you guys. So thank you so much as well.
Yeah. So this will be a regular thing. We'll see you next Wednesday.
Yeah.
And
I guess I'll outro like that every time. Just like, thank you so much. Bare my heart to everyone.
You know what? Thank you, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, man. But yeah, we've had a great time today. The technical difficulties, they are what they are. We're just a YouTube channel having fun. So whatever, we got over it. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. So thank you guys so much for the time, and we'll see you next Wednesday, and we'll have a new video coming out tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that one. So thanks guys. Have a good day. See you next time.